There is a war happening inside your body right now. Not a metaphorical war, not a philosophical one. A real, constant, brutal fight for survival happening in your bloodstream every single second of every single day. And today I am in the middle of it. I am not a soldier. I am not a general. I am a red blood cell, one of 25 trillion inside a single human body. I have no brain, no nucleus, no DNA. I exist for one purpose and one purpose only: to carry oxygen from the lungs to every living cell in this body and to come back and do it again. I have been doing this for about 90 days, and in roughly 30 more days, I will be dead. But today, I want to tell you exactly what this life feels like from the inside. Because what happens inside your blood is the most extraordinary thing you have never seen. Let me start at the beginning, because my birth is unlike anything you've ever heard of. I was born in the bone marrow, specifically inside the spongy core of a large bone, probably the femur, the big thigh bone. Bone marrow is one of the body's most productive factories. Every single second, it produces about 2.4 million new red blood cells. Every second. That is 200 billion per day, just to keep up with the ones dying. When I was first created, I had a nucleus, just like most cells in the body. But here's where my story gets strange. In order to become a red blood cell, I had to eject my own nucleus. I literally pushed out the control center of my cell, my DNA, my identity, gone. Why? Because the nucleus takes up space, and I need every millimeter of space inside me for hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen. So I sacrificed my brain to become better at my job. Think about that for a moment. I gave up the ability to think, replicate, or repair myself, just so I could carry more oxygen. I am the ultimate specialist. After ejecting my nucleus, I spent a few days maturing in the bone marrow. Then, on a day that felt like falling off a cliff, I was released into the bloodstream for the first time. And the bloodstream is nothing like I expected. The first thing you need to understand about the bloodstream is that it is not peaceful. It is not a gentle river. It is a high pressure, turbulent, chaotic highway. And I am being pushed through it at extraordinary speed. The human heart beats about 100,000 times per day. Each beat pushes blood through the body at a pressure strong enough to squirt blood 9 feet into the air if a major artery were cut. I am being launched through vessels with that kind of force, constantly. My first stop is the lungs, and this is where my whole purpose begins. I squeeze through the tiny capillaries surrounding the air sacs, called alveoli, in the lungs. These capillaries are so narrow that I have to deform my shape to fit through. I am normally a biconcave disc, like a donut without the hole, slightly squashed in the middle. This shape is not an accident. It gives me maximum surface area for absorbing oxygen and maximum flexibility for squeezing through tight spaces. And here in the lungs, something magical happens. Oxygen from the air you just breathed crosses through the incredibly thin wall of the alveolus, just one cell thick, and binds to the hemoglobin molecules inside me. Each of my hemoglobin molecules can carry 4 oxygen atoms, and I have about 270 million hemoglobin molecules inside me. Do that maths. That is over a billion oxygen atoms. In one red blood cell, I am now fully loaded, bright red, because oxygenated hemoglobin is literally red. And I am ready to deliver. The heart beats, and I am launched again. The journey from the lungs to the rest of the body takes less than 60 seconds. In that time, I travel through the heart into the aorta, the largest artery in the body, and then begin branching into smaller and smaller vessels until I reach the capillaries. Capillaries are where the real work happens. These vessels are so small, about 5 to 10 micrometers wide, that I, at about 8 micrometers, am literally the same size as the tube I'm traveling through. I squeeze, I deform, I push through single file, and as I pass through the capillaries, the cells lining the walls are hungry. They have been working, muscle cells contracting, brain cells firing, kidney cells filtering, and they have been consuming oxygen and producing carbon dioxide as a waste product. They need what I am carrying, so I release it. The oxygen unbinds from my hemoglobin and crosses through the capillary wall into the surrounding tissue, and in return, carbon dioxide, the waste, crosses back into me. My color shifts. Oxygenated blood is bright red. Deoxygenated blood, what I am now, is a darker, more muted red. Your veins look blue through your skin, but that's actually an optical illusion caused by the way skin absorbs light. Blood is always red, just different shades. I have now completed one delivery, one loop, and I have approximately 250,000 more loops to make before I die. Back to the lungs, pick up oxygen, deliver, return. Every single loop takes about 20 seconds. I will travel a total of about 1,500 kilometers in my lifetime, inside one human body. Not every journey is smooth. Let me tell you about the dangers. First, the spleen. The spleen is essentially a quality control checkpoint for red blood cells. As I age, and I age quickly, remember I have no nucleus, so I cannot repair myself. I become less flexible. My membrane stiffens. And when I pass through the spleen, if I'm too rigid to squeeze through its tiny filtering channels, I am destroyed, recycled. My iron is extracted and sent back to the bone marrow to make new cells. The spleen destroys about 2.4 million red blood cells every second, the same number being born in the bone marrow. This is perfect equilibrium, and it is completely automatic. Second danger, the immune system. White blood cells patrol the bloodstream constantly, looking for anything that doesn't belong. Bacteria, viruses, abnormal cells. They are the body's military, and they are everywhere. Today, something is happening. There is an infection somewhere. I can feel it in the biochemical signals flooding the bloodstream. Inflammatory molecules called cytokines are spiking. The blood vessels near the infection site are dilating, getting wider, to allow more blood flow to the area. White blood cells are being summoned. I pass through the affected area. The vessels are crowded. The flow is turbulent. White blood cells, neutrophils, some of the body's first responders, are squeezing through the vessel walls into the tissue to fight whatever has invaded. I deliver my oxygen to the area. Infected tissue needs even more oxygen to fuel the immune response and push through. Surviving, continuing. Because that is all I do. I continue. Every loop, every second, without stopping, without asking why. Let me tell you about passing through the heart, because nothing prepares you for it. The heart is not one pump. It is two pumps side by side, each with two chambers, a total of 4 chambers. And I pass through all of them, twice per complete circuit. The right side of the heart receives me when I am deoxygenated, dark, carrying carbon dioxide, and pumps me to the lungs. The left side receives me after I've picked up oxygen from the lungs and pumps me to the rest of the body. The left ventricle, the main pumping chamber, is the most powerful muscle in the body relative to its size. It squeezes with enough force to push blood all the way down to your toes and back up. The pressure is immense. In that moment of contraction, I am accelerated from near stillness to moving at about 40 centimeters per second. It feels like being fired from a cannon, repeatedly, 100,000 times a day. The valves, 4 of them, opening and closing with each heartbeat, are what make the lub-dub sound you hear when a doctor listens to your heart. That sound is the valve snapping shut, preventing backflow, keeping me moving forward. I have passed through this heart millions of times in my 90-day life, and every single time it is violent, powerful, and perfect. It is now day 120 of my life, and I can feel myself changing. My membrane, the outer layer of my cell, is becoming rigid, less flexible. The proteins that keep me soft and deformable are degrading. I cannot repair them because I have no nucleus, no DNA, no ability to produce new proteins. I am aging. And in the bloodstream, aging means one thing. I pass through the spleen for what I somehow sense will be the last time. The filtering channels are narrow, they always are, but today I cannot squeeze through the way I used to. My body is too stiff, and the spleen knows. Macrophages, large immune cells that act as the body's cleanup crew, recognize the signals on my surface that mark me as old. They engulf me. It is not violent. It is not painful. It is simply the end of a function. My hemoglobin is broken down. The iron is extracted and sent back to the bone marrow, where right now a new red blood cell is being born that will carry that same iron, my legacy. The rest of my components are recycled into bile, processed by the liver, and eventually leave the body entirely. I traveled 1,500 kilometers. I delivered oxygen to the brain, the muscles, the heart, the skin, the kidneys, every single organ in this body. I did it 250,000 times. I asked for nothing. I complained about nothing. I simply did what I was made to do. And now I am done. Right now, as you watch this video, 25 trillion red blood cells are moving through your body, each one making the same loop, lungs to body, body to lungs, every 20 seconds, without rest, without recognition, without any awareness of the person they are keeping alive. You have never thanked them. You have never thought about them. You probably did not know they existed until just now. And yet, they have been working every second of your life, from before you were born until the moment you die. There is something profound about that. These cells have no brain, no ego, no desire for credit. They were built for one purpose. They fulfill that purpose completely, and then they are recycled into the next generation of cells that will do the same thing. We spend so much time worrying about whether our work is being noticed, whether we are being appreciated, whether our contribution matters. Meanwhile, inside your own body, 2.4 million cells per second are being born right now, who will never ask those questions. They will just work, quietly, completely, until they cannot anymore. I think about that every time I feel like giving up on something. You are only alive because trillions of tiny things never gave up on you. Maybe you could return the favor. That was my life as a red blood cell. 120 days, 1,500 kilometers, 25 trillion neighbors. If this changed how you think about your own body, even a little, subscribe to Borrowed Lives, because next time we are going somewhere even more unexpected. Drop in the comments, which organ or cell do you want me to live as next? I'll read every single one. See you in the next Borrowed Life.